Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this morning. Tuesday the 22nd of July. The season is only 2 weeks away. Even less, just 2 weeks away. Yep. It's as if the season just finished. But it is about to start in a couple of weeks' time, and Celtic are still in the market for a number of players. This morning we're going to talk about the left back area, but wingers are what's needed at the club, and one agent has said that Celtic are not in talks with Michael Ange. As a player that Celtic have been linked with for a while, the Royal Antwerp player has said that he's open to coming to Celtic. It looks as if Celtic may make a move for him, but as yet his agent has said that Celtic have not even entered into talks. Brendan Rodgers has said that he wants players in the forward area. Are we wide off the mark with the 24-year-old coming to Celtic? The sporting director of Antwerp says Mark Overmars, remember him? What a fantastic player he was, wasn't he? Mark Overmars. Anyway, he says the club are still open to selling the player. He looks like he will be gone this summer with only a year left on his contract. Well, that's when Celtic kind of come into play, isn't it? But maybe they are waiting till later in the window to then try and open up negotiations and get the player in. Maybe they're not even going to go for him at all. Michael Ange is not. He knows of Celtic's alleged interest, because that's all it is now, because the fact that they're not talking, no discussions are underway, his agent said. Celtic have been keen on him. Celtic have already lost Nico Kuhn for a good bit of cash that we've banked. We've also lost Louis Palma. We're on the verge of losing Marco Tilio, which leaves us, we all know the story, but anyway, Celtic have been linked with various players, but we'll wait and see what happens, because I think it's going to be players that we've never even heard of. It looks like that it's like coming down Brendan Rodgers' lists every day, isn't it? And maybe that's why we've not heard of the player. But anyway, Brendan Rodgers, will he be happy or will he not be happy going into such an important game this week? Yep, Celtic do take on Ajax in the Como Cup this week. And it's an important game for one player. Celtic fans have known for some time that we've needed a left back to give Kieran Tierney some backup, some pressure. I don't know. Maybe there's one of the younger guys that Brendan Rodgers is coming through. Or will Brendan Rodgers try Inamura? Yeah, the 250 grand signing, it's a massive week for him, because if he wants to change the mind of Brendan Rodgers on a permanent basis, you've got to remember that when he came into the club, Brendan did say that he wasn't going to be in and around the first team. It looked like he was maybe going to go out on loan, but you've got to say the guy's actually played quite decent, hasn't he? But this is the test that you want to test him in. I mean, the Newcastle game, okay, that was fine. But let's face it, Newcastle were one game into their pre-season. They weren't really up to speed and they were using a lot of B-team players. This game should give us a further indication how far forward we are as a club. We all know that Celtic will go into this game and Brendan Rodgers will go into it with a want-to-win scenario. The fans are in good mood with the results, the way that the pre-season has gone so far. But are we still just papering over the cracks when it comes to lack of real quality having come into the club? Although we've made a number of signings already, I still think that Brendan Rodgers will want at least 4 or 5 players into the club before the end of the transfer window. With the game against St Mirren on Sunday the 3rd of August, it's not far away, Brendan Rodgers will use the Ajax game to see if players like Inamura can handle the rigours of Scottish football. And let's face it, international football, European football, it's not as aggressive as it comes to Scottish football. You maybe give him a try the second half of the St Mirren game if all's going well. Maybe not. I think Kieran Tierney will be kept on for the full 90 minutes of that game so that we get off to a winning start in the league. Could you just imagine it? He brings on Inamura the second half and we concede 2 goals or something, because he's not up to the over-exuberant pressure from Scottish-based players. We'll just need to wait and see. Like I said, it is a massive game for him this week. Brendan Rodgers will decide whether we need another left back. Tell me in the comments, do you think that Celtic will still go for another left back? There has been this talk about it all summer. and it's kind of went quiet. It's the one position that Brendan Rodgers hasn't really spoken about now. He's spoken about the need for forward-based players, which we're in massive need of when you think about it. And when you look at the wingers situation, the team run out of breath. It run out of steam. It just run out of motivation towards the end of last season. The fact that we're going into, again, 4 high-level competitions, 3 of them that the Celtic team will want to win. Brendan Rodgers will want to win the treble this year. He will feel that it's unfinished business. And I'm sure that the players, well, they've already said, some of them, that, you know, there was one that got away last season, and they will try and rectify that this season. With all the talk about Brendan Rodgers and the possibility of it being his last year at Celtic, that talk will not go away. It will ramp up. I've seen quite a few other people talking about it that they're just meddling, aren't they? Anyway, tell me your thoughts on the left back position. Do you think it's an area that Brendan Rodgers will try and rectify before the end of the transfer window, or should we be using one of the younger players as backup? But then again, we need someone with a little bit of quality, because if we start losing games because people are targeting the left back area, Brendan Rodgers will start getting in the neck, as will the board, for not getting in an adequate replacement for Kieran Tierney. Brendan Rodgers has already said that we're not going to use Kieran Tierney for 50 games of the season, whatever it is this year that we play. But you are going to use them in the high level games like Champions League. So you want to make sure that we don't have any European hangover. We got away with it last year. We didn't really have a European hangover. But you've got to remember the Falkirk game last season. Brendan Rodgers made wholesale changes with the players that were on the periphery of the team. Not so much the B team players, but it was players that were backup. And we all remember how that game went. I think that Brendan Rodgers will try something similar when it comes to the Premier Sports Cup this season, due to the fact that we've got a Champions League qualifier in the same month of August. August is an unbelievable busy month for Celtic. When you look at the games that's coming up, St Mirren, first game of the season, that won't be an easy game. They will want to make sure that they give us a very competitive game. Then we then travel to Aberdeen on Sunday the 10th, a week later. An away game at Pittodrie. It's never an easy game, especially this early in the season. I don't know how their pre-seasons went. And then we've got a game back at Celtic Park on the 23rd. But in between them, we've got the Premier Sports Cup. And then we've also, around about that time, we've got the Champions League qualifier before we then go to Ibrox. It's the kind of games that you would expect around about September, October time. Usually we get quite an easier way into the season, but not this year. It's straight in amongst the thick of it. The good thing is, when we get to the end of August and we've won all those games, it will put us away out in front, and we'll be at least 3 points to the good, maybe more. You never know. We'll be 3 points to the good, and everyone will be happy. And we'll be going into the last day of the transfer window, and we'll be like, the league's done and dusted. No, it's not. Not a chance. Winning the first game of the season will give us the momentum going forward. But it is hard games, let's face it. Kieran Tierney won't be used on Livingston's artificial pitch, so that will rule him out for that one. Livingston game, that's going to be a hard game as well. Anyway, tell me your thoughts about those games coming up. Tell me your thoughts in the comment section about Brendan Rodgers, who's been criticised for letting go Mark Norocki. Yes, Big Rocky had left the building, and there's some people saying that he was the best defender that we had at Celtic. I did feel for the big guy, because, you know, he was more than capable when he did come on towards the end of last season. But as a player that was brought in for good money, I think that Dane Murray is equally as good, and I don't make any apologies for that. I think that in Dane Murray we've got a player that is maybe going to be just as good as Rocky, and I think that anyone criticising letting go of Rocky to go out on loan for a season when we do have Dane Murray that's coming through the club, do you know, I think that, I mean, people were saying Dane Murray looked a little bit nervous the last game. I don't think he did, actually. I think that Dane Murray, when the game against Newcastle, he looked more than adequate as backup defender. And I still think that Dane Murray will be the one who starts in the starting berth alongside Austin Trusty in the first game of the season. I've just got a funny feeling about it. I think that he's done more than enough. But then we'll see against Ajax on Thursday evening. That's going to be an interesting game because it will be a bit better than the Newcastle game. It will give us a bit more competition, and it will see roughly where the players are at and how ready we are for the Champions League game in just a month's time. Yeah, and we're still trying to get players in. Anyway, that's your Celtic news this morning. Is it a worry to you that a player that, I don't even want to talk about the Balikwisha situation now, because we spoke about our striker that Celtic were after for about 3 seasons, and then when it came to it, Celtic didn't even enter into negotiations with the player this summer. They decided, no, you had your chance at the last window. That was your make or break. You didn't want to come, and you've got to understand that if a player doesn't help push from his end, that he does want to come to Celtic. But like the Brøndby player didn't over the number of years. He said he wasn't quite ready at one point. Well, you've had your chance, lad, and Celtic moved on. We need to see what our new Japanese striker can do, and hopefully he'll get a game against Ajax also. Hopefully he runs riot. I really hope he runs riot, and then we get Como in the next round of the Como Cup, because I want to make sure that a certain Nico Kuhn has massive regrets on leaving Celtic. And it'll be nice for Alex Bailly to say his farewell to Celtic fans. The player that came in from Barcelona, won a medal at Celtic, and then went off because he didn't fancy the crazy Scottish Football League. Anyway, on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.